Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and Fireside Yankees might look a little bit different, and that's because my man here, Chris, one of the smartest minds, not just with baseball, but with a lot of sports, very amazing background. You might have seen him on the Monday mailbag that was released earlier in the week. This will be the new edition of the Fireside Yankees podcast, so I'm going to be titling this with episode number 1. It starts a new chapter in Fireside Yankees, and I'm really excited to get into this. So, Chris, I'm really excited because we get to talk about this and debut this right before perhaps the biggest series of the year for the Yankees. But before we get into everything, how you feeling today? How you doing? And yeah, why don't you introduce yourself again?
Feeling really good. Obviously been a Yankee fan for a long time. I've listened to you for a little while, so this is awesome. And it's like a little bit of like a first day of school jitters. But I'm excited, man. So here we go. Just a backstory for you. My first time in Yankee Stadium actually was last year for the Boston series around this time a year ago. So I was in New York then, got to see kind of the madness. And that was my first taste of Yankee Stadium because obviously when I've been to Yankee games before, it had been in Cleveland because I'm from Akron. So I'm really excited. Obviously, it feels cool to do this today. Again, like you said, biggest series of the season so far.
Yeah, and it's felt like for the last, I'd say, month or so, like they've been playing huge series after huge series. You could argue the most recent Toronto series was the biggest series of the year. Now they play Boston in Fenway Park, maybe a playoff preview. But before we look into that Boston series, let's kind of take a look back at last night with Cam Schlittler, who delivered arguably one of his best starts of the year. Yankees are facing a potential sweep at the hands of the Tigers. Schlittler says, "Not on my watch. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. It lowers his ERA over his last 6 starts to 2.01. He is top 2 on the Yankee rotation in ERA and FIP. Chris, what did you see from Schlittler in that start? What have you seen of him from late? And why do you think he's someone who can help the Yankees, not just in the regular season, but potentially in the postseason?"
Well, he's getting ahead of hitters, right? Like he's getting ahead of hitters, one thing. And I think he's learning the pitchability element of it. I know you've got some of the numbers, but when I watched him early, I mean, his first start against Seattle, that was a throw-off. Like, that was like, okay, I've unlocked this new velocity that I haven't really had, that I have not had, and I'm just going to blow by as many as possible. I think the Toronto game, obviously, he had some comments about what he thought happened there, but the Toronto game, one of the things that was kind of happening was they were fouling off so many pitches and making him battle, and that tends to happen sometimes to guys who are throwers. Now, Cam always had a chance to kind of figure this out pretty quickly because he hasn't really been a thrower for too long. Even though he was a high strikeout guy going all the way back to college, it was low 90s, so it wasn't like hey, like by you. And I think maybe he fell in love with that a little bit and was overthrowing a little bit. Some of the command stuff that I didn't think I would see from him because I thought his command was so good in the minors kind of popped up, in the MLB. But yesterday it was workmanlike. It was sequencing, a lot of tunneling. Like it looked and felt the part of a young pitcher that's like, okay, I know I've been able to blow things past people, but let me set guys up and then blow it past them. So for the first time in a little while, you saw a lot of those freeze fastballs, and that's a sign of a guy who's learning how to pitch and be more pitchable. So I thought it was awesome from Cam yesterday. He looked and felt the part, and it's another good, start for the bank for him because the further we go along, Ryan, this feels like it's going to be the guy. He's going to be one of the guys that ends up starting a playoff game.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about the command because, and doing a little bit of digging in the numbers here, over his last 6 starts, his location plus is a stat that measures command. Location means it's a self-explanatory stat. It's up to 107 over his last 6 starts. His first 5 starts, well below 100. He was firmly below average in terms of command. And the 2 pitches that he's commanded the best over that 6-start stretch has been his curveball and cutter relative to where he was at in the first half of kind of his major league career. And as you alluded to, guys, Cam Schlittler was sitting 93 to 94 miles per hour as recently as last season. In spring training, fastball velocity around 94 miles per hour. This is not someone who is accustomed to having a fastball, both in velocity and shape, that he can overpower hitters with. And as you mentioned, he's kind of leaned on that fastball as like, get me out of situations, get me out of jams. I just got to spam this thing in the strike zone and hope something good happens. Now he's able to get the curveballs in, get the cutters in. This is someone who made his bread and butter off of his secondary stuff as a minor leaguer with the Yankees. So seeing him get back to that is awesome. I think that as we continue to see him mature and develop, as you alluded to as well, he just becomes a huge part, an integral part of the Yankees' chances of potentially winning the World Series, going on a deep playoff run, whatever it may be. This is a guy who I would give the ball to in a Game 3 situation without much debate. Like, Chris, I know you said this on Monday. We all, Sam and I second that thought as well. Game 3, that's the guy we're going to. And you also mentioned with Toronto, that might be a one-off because he said he was tipping pitches. So,
right.
Chris, do we just kind of like scrub that off and go, bad start, kind of throw it away from the memory bank? Like, when a guy's tipping, what do you take away from it?
I scrub it, and I think that all young guys who are kind of cut from this cloth go through this. And there was a period of time, Ryan, where Miz, Chase Burns, and Cam Schlittler all pitched on the same day. And guys like Chase Burns and Miz viewed as like, definitely upper level prospects, way highly thought of. They both had a really electric first start. I was actually at Burns' first start against the Yankees. A really electric first start. And then there's video and data on you. And both of their second starts had the bad blow up. And both of their camps was like, oh, he's tipping pitches. They got something. And the pitch tipping thing isn't something that is as prevalent in minor league baseball as it is in the majors. So you have to be really good. And Scooble talks about drilling that. Parker Messick, another guy who had 2 really good starts as a rookie, young pitcher, that third start, tipping pitches, a blow up. And so it's going to happen. I think that it's a kind of a rite of passage, right? To be cleaner with your grips, to be cleaner with your hand positioning, to be cleaner with your cadence, to not tip pitches, because every MLB team, whether you like it or not, is scanning for all that kind of stuff. I was wondering when it would come because, and from my point of view, I've seen it, across the sport. Someone's going to get you at some point. It came. He addressed it. He identified it. It made sense, throw the foul balls. So I kind of discard that from my memory bank, and I'm glad it happened to him now rather than in the postseason.
Yeah, because it happens in the postseason, and not only do you burn your bullpen in a game, that's potentially an elimination game if he's pitching in Game 3 of a wild card series, or if he's pitching in Game 3 of a division series. That's a pivotal game. Whether you're up 2-0, whether you're down 2-0, whether it's tied 1-1, Game 3 of a division series, it feels like whoever wins that game tends to win the series, unless, of course, that team was already down 0-2 in the series.
Pitch tipping, just real quick, pitch tipping played a huge part in last year's postseason. I mean, the guy that's currently in New York, he was tipping the changeup, and what did Pete Alonso do? I mean that effectively ended their season.
Yeah, and so. you also talk about with the postseason environment and starting pitching. I mean, it's critical. You need your starters to give you something. I felt like something that burned the Yankees in the World Series was Heel, Schmidt, Rodon. They did not provide any length in that series, and I think that hurt them a lot as they played game after game after game. The Dodgers saw Weaver too many times. They saw Canley too many times. They saw everybody way too many times in that series. But I think Cam Schlittler, kind of tying back to how well he's pitched, I've been so impressed with how far he's come. He's gone from someone who, in my opinion, was a 40 to 45 on the 2080 scale as a prospect. Someone who you're like, oh, good performance, but project them for a back-end starter role. Maybe there's someone who they have to get traded to get really a shot at the rotation, to someone where it's like, I mean, he's the third best starter in the Yankees. He's the best young starter on the team right now, and it's not like he doesn't have competition. Will Warren has been, in my opinion, more than serviceable this year. He's one of the most talented young players on the team in general, and this is a team that has Ben Rice on it. Like, the Yankees can really they can really put a feather in their cap on that one with the development success there. And kind of shifting to the other side of the spectrum here in terms of player development. Look, a lot of people are going to – Volpe is kind of the poster boy for a lot of people's criticisms of Yankee player development. I'm not sure it's on player development. Obviously, yesterday we just found out that he has a partial labrum tear in his left shoulder. I think that's playing a bigger role in his defensive woes than anything else. But with that situation, with that partially torn labrum, I just kind of want to get your thoughts on where you're at with Volpe now, short-term, long-term. I guess just kind of spill what you got on Volpe right now.
So it's fascinating, Ryan, because early in the year and after the All-Star break, Volpe looked like a really good baseball player. And I think that there is a lot of talent in there. But he just goes through these really bad stretches. And it does feel like, at least from the outsider perspective, that the organization coddles him. I do think there's an important thing about showing up to the ballpark every day and knowing who your shortstop is. So I understand Boone on that front. And I understand Boone's point, what seems to be his point about different guys, need coached differently. And I think Volpe's a guy that kind of needs told how good he is a lot to keep that confidence up. He has not been good this year, and the shoulder injury coming out now is kind of being viewed in two different lights. Some people think it's being viewed to kind of give him an extra year next year. to kind of, allow for almost like a restart and a second chance, which I think he's going to get no matter what. So I think Yankee fans, that if you feel like, Caballero or someone else should be the starting shortstop opening day next year, just be mad right now rather than later, because it's going to be Volpe to start the year next year. And I think, honestly, they want him to stop getting killed publicly, because it's safe to say it has some effect on him. I do think the injury has had an effect on him. I think there is a serviceable shortstop there within Volpe. I think he's got to figure out the health thing first off. I think the Yankees missing this is really frustrating and could have saved the kid and us a lot of time, energy, and emotions if we would have known the extent of things. And looking back, it's like, how did we all miss it? Like the grab and the grimace and kind of the production fall off after that. It's like, I think it's safe to say the Yankees mishandled this, but it's not always who you met me as, it's who I become. And the fact that they've kind of acknowledged it right now and are going to give Caballero more and more run, I think is them doing it at the right time. Because the last thing you want to do is have this be something that pops up after you're eliminated in the postseason.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst scenario. Right now, it being addressed, be angry, get it out, but just know now we are here, and Caballero is going to get more and more run.
Yeah, and Caballero, who is starting tonight in the series opener against the Boston Red Sox, which I think is very telling of where the shortstop situation's at right now. I think when it comes to the Anthony Volpe conversation, it doesn't matter where you lie. I think that the answer is so clearly you have to play Caballero right now, because we've seen compromised Volpe, and it is not a good baseball player. He's tied for the worst fielding run value in baseball at shortstop since that injury on May 3rd at -6. His OPS, 626. He has been way worse than even his career standards. I know people are going to say he's always been a below-average hitter. I get that. I don't believe him being a below-average hitter is a result of the partial tear in his labrum, but I think it's taking him from below average to unplayable, while also taking his best trait, which is his defense, and completely compromising it. Look, the player Anthony Volpe was last year was a player who didn't hit very well, was like an 8-9 hitter, but was a phenomenal defensive player at shortstop, stole 30 bases, and in the biggest portion of your season, October, he hit. And I think that kind of season is when I'll take any single day of the week from my shortstop, when I know my offense hits home runs at the rate the Yankees hit home runs at and have kind of historically hit home runs at over the last 2 decades. So where I'm at with Volpe right now is you've got to stop. You can't make this worse, because I think it was also mentioned by Volpe that tear got greater after a dive on Sunday. Do you want this to be something where we look at 2026 and we go, man, he's still not right? Like, I worry about the long-term health of Anthony Volpe in here, and I agree he's going to be the starter next year, and I don't hate the process behind that. I mean, he's an arbitration 1 player at that point. He's very cheap still. Jose Caballero, as I've stated multiple times, is a fun player. He is not a world beater, and I do think he's best used as a utility man who can back up 5 or 6 guys on the roster, essentially. When you think about Volpe's long-term future, and you think about this shoulder injury, how concerned are you about his long-term viability? What if you're Aaron Boone right now, how are you handling this situation in terms of playing time?
I think I would consider shutting him down for the rest of the year, to be honest. I mean, like the attributes, the defense going, the wrong way. Also, like swiping bases, the act of diving is going to aggravate that even more. And I haven't seen anybody talk about that. I wouldn't play Volpe the rest of the year. I mean, I would have to work around it right now and just acknowledge, okay, I know we brought Caballero to be a super utility guy, but we're just not going to have that right now. And they're just going to have to, because Caballero shortstop right now objectively gives you a better chance to win than Volpe does. And I think right now the best chance to win needs to be out there. And so that's him. So that's kind of where I'm at with the two. And I wish it wasn't a storyline, because it feels like no matter what, like the Volpe thought process is kind of weaved in and out of kind of Yankees lore. So right now I'm with you. Long-term health-wise, we'll see. I know people are watching Lombard really closely to see like when is he going to be ready, because he's defense expert. And if you're going to have no bat, at least have really good defense that Volpe's not giving you right now. I'm of the belief that I don't think we'll see Lombard till the end of next year. I don't know where you're at with him. I guess we haven't talked about him, me and you, because first day of school. But no, I do worry about kind of the long-term health of Volpe 100%, especially if they rush him back. I mean, they've already kind of done what I think is more damage than needed to be done to his shoulder.
I agree. I would shut him down. And I'd also like to point out in the conversation of shutting him down, it's not just, for me, it's twofold. It's this year and it's next year. Correct. If I lose the if Anthony Volpe repeats his 2024 season in 2026, would he have lived up to the top prospect status? No, But is that a player who helps you win baseball games? Yes. And at this point in time, like, I don't consider a prospect failure a guy who becomes a solid, but albeit not flashy big leaguer instead of a star. I think that's still, like, you took a guy outside of the top 25 and he became a quality big leaguer. That is a success in my opinion. And you also mentioned with George Lombard Jr., the biggest criticism people kind of had with how they used Volpe was they rushed him. So when I see people say, hey, let's do the same thing for George Lombard Jr., it's like, what? No. I give him time. Let him develop at his own pace. He's still 20 years old. He stopped being a teenager this year. He is a year younger than me. Like, I think about this like I'm still in college. This guy's a year younger than me. I don't want him to feel rushed to go to the big leagues. Let him take his time. Let him develop. I'd even be fine with them waiting until the start of 2027. Like, as long as they call him up when he's ready, as long as he develops on the path he should develop, I'm going to be fine with them being patient and not rushing that, because I do think there's a lot of harm you bring when you rush a guy, and then he's got to be the guy and has to play and has to be that guy immediately when he's not ready. And I also think with Volpe, I mean, we've seen how injuries can affect shortstops. Look at Trevor Story on the Red Sox. Trevor Story, 24 home runs. You actually pointed this out to me. I was not aware of this. The leader on the Boston Red Sox in terms of home runs and RBIs is Trevor Story with 24 and 91. He's put together a pretty strong campaign. He's looked, I mean, it's night and day between him this year and the Trevor Story that Boston Red Sox fans have kind of lauded as this guy, or not lauded, or kind of shouted into the world as this guy's holding us back financially. Now he's helping them. He's one of their best everyday position players. I just think that health aspect to it is so important. So, Chris, I think for next year, again, you just gotta shut him down. I think that's where we're at right now. You have any final thoughts on Volpe?
No, just a good note. I mean, people, hated Trevor Story. I had Boston Red Sox fans that hated Trevor at the beginning of the year. I mean, just the offensive production wasn't there. Obviously, he had the similar shoulder injury last year. He's now healthy, and he leads them in home runs and RBIs. And if someone would have, held the death beam at you, Ryan, before the year and said, who's going to lead the Red Sox in those two categories, I mean, before the year, you're probably saying Devers, and that probably would have been the right answer. Or you're saying, Duran. Like, you're not saying Story is the point. So no, I'm no more thoughts on Volpe. It's unfortunate because last year in the postseason he was so good. He was patient. The eye got a lot better, and he was swinging the bat a lot harder, and that's important. That works because the exit velo numbers were there, and he was hard hit balls off of really elite closers like Clase when he was pre all the madness. But no, I'm excited. I'm excited to dig into this Red Sox series though, big dog.
Yeah, and again, to kind of clarify for you guys, the Yankees and Red Sox right now are in a virtual tie in the standings, and the Yankees are a half game up, but I mean, it's between percentage points. The Red Sox have played more games, so like there's a lot. It's a virtual tie, guys. That's what it is. Yeah. The Red Sox have the tiebreaker. The Yankees cannot do anything in this series to change that, even if they sweep. And the Yankees will be facing the three top starters on the Red Sox rotation right now. It's Luisio versus Lucas Giolito tonight. It's Max Fried versus Brian Bayo tomorrow. And on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, it will be Will Warren versus Garrett Crochet. Chris, when you look at this Red Sox team, when you look at their top three starters, when you look at that bullpen, what are you thinking going into this series? How do you think the Yankees can get it done in Fenway?
Can I ask a preference question to you before I dig into this? Are you a guy that likes staggering? When you see a series, do you like when the ones are staggered, or do you like when the ones face off?
I like when they face.
Perspective.
I mean, from a Yankees perspective,
yeah,
I like them staggered because I like my chances against Bayo with freedom of the mound. Then obviously Crochet. That's no slight at Bayo. It's just Crochet's Crochet and Bayo's Bayo.
Yeah, he's the ace of the staff.
Now, from a fan standpoint, I like it 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. So, fan answer, one way. Yankee, I want to win games answer. I want my best pitchers facing their worst pitchers, and their best pitchers not facing my worst pitchers, but, I mean, honestly, that gives me a better chance to win the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I've heard both sides of it because some people, they want the Fried versus Crochet because you want to be in that game as long as possible, give your chance yourself a chance to win that game. I do think Warren in that 3 spot is fascinating because Warren, if he gets hot, if that fastball's on, he can give you 6 innings of 1 run or no run ball. But the key to this series is just can the starters give enough length to limit the rope that the relievers have to kind of wreck the game at the end there? Because let's face it, I mean, the relief pitching, the bullpen was horrible against Detroit, dog. horrible, and it felt like watching the same nightmare over and over and over again. I mean, what was it? The 9 hitters with 0 recorded outs was disgusting, and it made me miss guys like Jake Cousins, who shout out that wicked slider. But I think it's going to be about starter length, and whatever team has better starter length this series is going to win the series, and that's where I'm at. The flip side, this Yankees lineup is capable of doing huge damage, and it's going to take 1 or 2 swings to blow games 1 or 2 open. And that game 3 should be fascinating. Obviously, Crochet being one of the best there is, if not the best in the game. But it's going to be about starter length for me, and that's the number one thing I'm looking for. And that's why Luis Gil tonight terrifies me.
Yeah, and the thing with me, and I love that you mentioned a note with Luis Gil and kind of the command struggles, and you don't really know what you're going to get, or you don't know how many of the runners he's going to put on, how many of them are going to score. Because it's not a matter of will he put guys on or not. It's a matter of how many and how many of them are left on base, how many of them are stranded, in what situations, in what context, who he walks, because he's not choosing who he walks. It's not like a selective, like I'm pitching carefully this guy, that guy. It just is or is not going to be a strike. And you look at the Red Sox lineup right now, no Roman Anthony due to an injury. They traded Rafael Devers. Their offense, and the kind of the term I would use here is they're a few bats short. Willie Abreu's hurt as well. Like, they are not the Boston Red Sox that they envision themselves to be even post-Devers trade. They're 2 bats short, and I don't think they ever properly replaced the value that Devers provided them offensively. Yoshida has not been great offensively this year, although I know he does torture the Yankees. The Yankees pitching staff, they have to be good in this series. They cannot be bad, because for as not I don't know if the term is underwhelming. I don't know how good the Red Sox offense expected themselves to be this year, or at least post Devers. But while that Red Sox offense isn't overpowering, it's good enough to help their pitching staff win games. And that's all you kind of need. You either need your pitching staff to prevent enough runs that your dominant offense crushes the other team, or that your lineup is good enough to help what is a very good Red Sox pitching staff. We're going to see their 3 best starters tonight, but to me at least, the thing that scares me is you go into the 9th inning and you don't have a lead, or the Red Sox have a lead, especially if the Red Sox have a lead. Chapman's closing that game out. Like, I know he blew a save against the Athletics. I'm not saying it's a 100% chance. Like, baseball's baseball. You got to play the games. But they have a very good bullpen. And so if the Yankees starting staff does not give them length, if Luis only goes 4 to 5 innings tonight, it's very hard to win that baseball game, because you're going to get beat in the bullpen battle. Where you may have the advantage is you just have a much better offense, and you've traditionally been able to score on just anybody.
Right.
So in my opinion, it's got to be the offense. I agree on the starting length. I think that's very critical. You just got to kind of avoid having to use 3-4 relievers each and every game of this series. You don't have the off day. They had an off day yesterday. It's just a giant mess right now for the Yankees bullpen right now. And is there anyone in particular looking to stand out or step up in this series, whether pitching staff or offense?
Well, I do want to circle back to your point about, like, being a few bats short. Just real quick, like, I know we complimented Trevor Story, but Trevor Story being your best offensive player all year is horrible. I was very complimentary of him as, shortstop bounce back, but that's not good enough to be your best offensive player. And for me, honestly, I just want to see Aaron continue this path he's on right now. There was a down period for him. It feels like he figured it out. It does feel like in these Boston series, he does have huge moments, and I think that everyone's going to be looking to him for the huge moments. But in terms of stepping up, I just need the guys to be the guys. I would love to see another, Jazz Chisholm excellent series. I think that would be important and could go a long way. But for me, it's just about Aaron, and then I want an ick-free clean game. At some point, I would just love an ick-free clean game. So that's kind of where I'm at, I guess, with the Yankees. At least in Game 1.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox, the Red Sox are a very good team. Like, I don't think they're a bad team at all. Actually, I said it preseason. I thought they were going to win the division. I think that they're the team that scares me the most in a playoff setting. But as you mentioned, like, how many times have you seen them, whether it's walks or errors or base running blunders, throw games away or throw opportunities to potentially change the game away? When they first went to Fenway, I remember back-to-back games. Jason Minguez gets thrown out or picked off at second base with 2 outs and as a runner in scoring position in a close game. Ben Rice does the same thing on Sunday, the day after, when the Yankees got swept, and what ended up being a very close game. You cannot have that happen. You cannot get thrown out with runners in scoring position. When you have runners in scoring position, you need to at least give your offense a chance to take the at-bat. I'm not saying you're going to score 100% of the time, but you need to give them a chance. I don't want them to – you just can't have that happen. Game 1 in Yankee Stadium, in that 4-game set, the errors, they made 3 errors in 1 inning. I think that ended up being the difference between winning and losing that game because Anthony hits that kind of back-breaking home run off of Yerry De Los Santos. Yerry's not pitching in the 9th inning. If they have a leader, it's tied. So, I mean, you just have to be able to do just make the routine happen. I'm not saying they have to play elite defense. I'm not saying they have to make mind-breaking grabs. They have to steal 40 bases, whatever it may be. Just don't give the Red Sox outs.
Yeah, no gifts today. This is not Christmas. No gifts today. I do want to ask you, do you like Rice behind or in front of Judge?
Ooh, that's a good question. So there's an argument for both. In front of Judge, Ben Rice is going to get more fastballs, and Ben Rice is one of the best fastball hitters in the league. Behind Judge, well, Judge is getting to hit second. That means Judge gets more at bats. So it's really tough both ways. And also when you sandwich him in between Grisham and Rice, yeah, you can't bring in a lefty. You just can't. You can't do it because you're going to have Stanton hitting behind Rice. It's just a mess if you're Alex Cora and you're doing that. So I would say I prefer Judge hitting second. I just think that you just want Judge to get as many at-bats as possible. But I think there's real credence to the other argument of, well, Ben Rice is going to see a bunch of fastballs. And you give Ben Rice fastballs. Ben Rice loves fastballs.
I'm a Ben Rice 2 guy. I just think because the hitters traditionally in front of Aaron just see so many fastballs, it's almost absurd. I mean, Juan Soto last year, we saw the year that he had just seen so many fastballs, and as a pitcher, you can't throw that guy fastballs. So I like Rice too. But today's lineup, they're going Grisham, Judge, Rice, Belly, Stanton. So that front 5, they have to do damage. I do like the quote unquote reset. Because Chisholm is a guy who could be a leadoff or a 4-hitter. He's got the best of both. Chisholm, Wells, Caballero, McMahon as the last 3.
Yeah, look, the bottom 3 of that lineup, I know on paper, like they have below average, OPSs on the season, but 2 of those guys, McMahon and Wells, can leave the yard at any point in time. And the other guy in there is one of the biggest pests in the sport, like guaranteed 2 disengagements and second base when he's on first every single time without fail. And one last note I'll throw out with the Red Sox series here. Hot hitters on the Red Sox last 30 games. Trevor Story, he is slashing 297, 349, 554 in his last 30 games or last 30 days. Nate Lowe has slowed down a little bit as of late, but still has been a nice shot in the arm for the Red Sox offense. And this is, I didn't expect to see him on here. I'm going to be honest. I was not expecting this guy to be on here. David Hamilton is hitting 333, 394, 533 in their last 30 days. So
remember, he was supposed to be the odd man out.
Yeah. Do you remember that report that the Yankees had interest in him? Brian Cashman.
Yes.
That man doesn't miss.
Yes.
Doesn't miss.
I absolutely remember that.
So yeah, I mean, look, the kind of the key cold guys right now, like Rafael's been the worst qualified hitter in the league in the second half. He does also torture the Yankees traditionally, so I'm going to expect him to do something. Bregman's been cold, but again, another do you expect Alex Bregman to not do something this series?
No, Bregman's going to have a moment this series, 100%.
Right, like he look, ice cold. Look, baseball's ups and downs. He's just going to conveniently, my ups are, I'm back hot again. I'm red hot again, and it's because he sees those pinstripes. But again, that Red Sox offense, it's been an issue. If you look at Red Sox fans and kind of what they talk about, offense. That's the issue for them right now. So hopefully the Yankee pitching staff can get that done. Now,
also one more quick note on hot hitters.
Yeah,
my bad.
Go ahead.
Go right there. Austin Wells so far this month, 286, OPS over 1,000. Austin Wells has kind of at least had a blip on the radar of really good baseball. We'll see if that continues. Just to your point, to the bottom of the lineup, and leave the yard at any point. I mean, again, since September started, I know it's only 7 games, but 286, 320, 714 slugging, 1,000 OPS.
I will take that every day of the week, obviously, and I'll say this right now, again, just the fact that it's one swing. He is one swing at any time away from, boom, you got runs on the board. That is such a change. Like, that's a huge change in terms of you look at the bottom of the lineup, and even compared to other bottoms of the lineup in baseball. The Yankee offense as a whole has been red hot. 247, 331, 491 in their last 30 days, a 126 weighted runs created plus, and they're actually underperforming their expected numbers over that stretch as well. They've been one of the best base running teams in baseball over that stretch as well. So I expect this team to, whether it's hitting a lot of home runs, whether it's trying to manufacture some stuff, trying to create something, I need them to run, need them to put runs on the board. Although in the running department, Carlos Narvaez is going to prevent a little bit of a challenge there. Now, with how big this series is, I think one of the funnier headlines in the last 24 hours it's happened to be John Heyman reporting, and I'm going to use reporting very loosely here because the Yankees were willing to trade Spencer Jones and George Lobar Jr. for Paul Skenes. That's like saying the sky is blue on 2 o'clock in the middle of August. Yeah, no doubt. But what I did find interesting about that is that the Yankees are one of less than a handful of teams that checked in. There was not a lot of teams that were bold enough to call the Pirates. The Yankees are one of them. Chris, I think it's a matter of when, not if, Paul Skenes stops being a Pittsburgh Pirate, whether that's free agency or through a trade late into his rookie deal. Do you read into this at all? Like, do you think the Yankees are trying to plant the seeds into trying to acquire him? Like, what are your thoughts on that situation?
I think it's more, this being put out there is just letting Paul Skenes know, like, the interest we have in you is real enough for us to call about you and offer our 2 top prospects. There's no way Pittsburgh was going to accept any deal for this year. If they do move on from Skenes, my guess is it'll be with 2 ARB years left to get a haul for him and a couple years of whatever. But, you know, Heyman is funny because it's like, he didn't present it like, okay, an offer was made. It's like the check-in. It's like they were willing to, or they would have. It's like awesome. Like, I'm willing to take Sidney Sweeney out on a date. Like, that's not, you know, that's not news. It's just the general way of the world, right? So I did think it was interesting. I thought it was funny that it was only those 2 names. I'm curious if that was the extent of the offer made, or if that's what they were willing to part ways with. What would you be willing to part ways with for Skenes, out of curiosity? Just like in Phantom World, like if you're the Pirates or if you're the Yankees, would you be okay with Rice and those 2 and Cam Schlittler, or is that still not enough?
So my tough thing with pitchers is I'm always scared that they're one throw away from, okay, they're gone for a year and a half. Yeah. And so, you know, I'm not going to sit here and do the whole, like, well, you know, you got to think, like, Ben Rice is more valuable than Paul Skenes. Like, absolutely not, right? Like, the Pirates may say no to that, and I understand why they say no to that. But I think what's important for the Yankees is having so many cheap players. I think that is a big part of what they've been able to do this year. Not to say that, like, I didn't want Juan Soto, but a big reason why they've been able to be a great offense without Juan Soto is because Ben Rice is making nothing. So they can pay, you know, they can just say, we'll trade for Cody Bellinger, and we'll take the entire contract, so we trade no prospect of value. The fact that they didn't trade a prospect of note for Cody Bellinger saved their farm a little bit, because at that point in the farm system cycle, their health wasn't great there. Like, they had a lot of guys coming back from injury. Carlos DeGrande, we'll talk about him in a bit. Like, he was not a guy. Like, he was a dude who was 21 and couldn't pitch in single A. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz hadn't been in the organization yet, and even when they did get him, he was not, oh, yeah, this guy's a top 100 prospect. It's, yeah, you know, he's fun. He's cool. Yeah. Can't throw strikes. Probably a reliever. So, again, so many guys hadn't really existed yet or emerged as of yet. I just don't personally think the Yankees are going to be able to pull off that tiered trade, because I don't think anyone can in the current, you know, value system of Paul Skenes.
Ryan, he's too valuable.
But if you ask me honestly, I would trade the Somerset Patriots. I would trade an entire affiliate. Like, if they want the whole affiliate, they can have it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to take the naming rights, everything. You got it. I love Somerset. Great ballpark. Great people there. Shout out Mark Rusinoff. He's awesome. But, like, dude, I'm whole affiliate. You want Scranton too? You want Tampa? You want Hudson Valley? Like, take all 4 of them. Well, no minor league teams. You know,
have the entire farm.
You can have the entire farm system. Yes. For Paul Skenes, because, dude, could you imagine what Paul Skenes would do? Like, do you know how good this Yankee team would be with Paul Skenes on it? They would be so far up in the division. And I know people are going to say, well, he can't have that big of an impact. Yes, he can, because you're starting Marcus Stroman, Carlos Carrasco. How many times you had to burn your bullpen in the summer? How many, like, 13, 14-day stretches of, yeah, they don't have a day off. I feel like every other week it's like, yeah, they're playing 12, 13 games on a day off. It's like, cool. You know, this is a side tangent, I'm sorry, but the Yankee bullpen has had to be absolutely taxed. The Yankees have played every series against the Red Sox where the Red Sox have had an off day before and the Yankees have not, going into the series.
Scheduling issues.
Their bullpen is going to be fried after this. And I don't think they have an off day. No, they don't. They play a whole week of baseball without an off day. So, again, like, having great starting pitching is so important just for that fact in the regular season. But the one, again, I'm going to wrap up on this. I know this is Debbie Downer here. Anytime we talk about trading for a starter, I'm always going to be scared of the fact that with just one weird pitch, they're gone for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. So, yeah.
Look, man, Livy's from Jersey. We just got to wait our turn.
Yeah.
We just got to wait our turn.
I think when he hits free, I'll ask you one question. Do you think he hits free agency with the Pirates or with a different team?
Different team, 100%.
Okay.
I'm too hip to how the Pirates get down.
Okay. I was just curious because I think, with the Angels with Ohtani, I think it was more obvious that he was going to hit free agency with them, that they were going to be hesitant to trade him. Even that's not what I would have done, knowing that I wasn't going to bring him back. But with Skenes, I think the writing's on the wall that they will trade him. It's just a matter of when. And maybe the Yankees cycle of prospects, maybe Dax Kilby's like a top 30 prospect in baseball by the time that dude's going to be talking about being traded. And at that point, you're like, we got ammo. We got dudes.
Let's play.
Yeah, let's play. Let's play. Let's see what happens.
Now that Pirates rotation, just real quick, is going to be really fun though in 2 years. Like Jared Jones, Bubba Chandler, and Paul. Like that's going to be fun. And then that's going to be a fun rotation. They're just not going to score at all, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's sad that such a talented staff, like we just know that the top guy there is going to leave because that ownership is invested in doing things that aren't trying to deliver a winner, which makes me a little bit more grateful to talk about the Yankees, watch the Yankees, have grown up watching the Yankees in that regard. Like, for all my complaints, I never have to worry about, like, my best player has a 0% chance of staying. Like, zero. No chance at all. We'll trade him before that. And, with Paul Skenes, and I think it's actually a beautiful segue into the Yankee farm system and where we're at there. Somerset, big day yesterday. They clinched their playoff spot 4 straight years in the postseason. They have been one of the most successful minor league teams in baseball since becoming the Yankees affiliate ahead of the 2021 season. George Lombard Jr. had a big day, 2 for 4, had a walk, had an RBI. Carlos LaGrange, beautiful start, quality start, 6-inning shutout baseball, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. We'll talk about some more guys on that team. Chris, with Somerset right now, with some of the guys in that roster, with George Lombard Jr. getting hot, like, what are your thoughts on where the Yankee farm's at right now, and specifically with those 2 guys, where they're at right now?
Well, Somerset's a fun roster to watch, just like right now. I mean, obviously, Elmer Rodriguez-Cruz, who we're going to hear a lot about this weekend because of the Narvaez stuff. But, I mean, George Lombard is kind of doing what you would want. It took him a little while to get going in Double-A. The Double-A run environment sometimes a little bit tricky. I mean, we saw Spencer Jones struggle in Double-A for stretches last year. The fact that George Lombard Jr. is still getting on base at a high clip and starting to kind of show off some of that gap-to-gap hitting ability, I think it's really impressive. It kind of projects the right way. I think, at some point next year he will be in AAA, and that'll be really fun, and I think he'll have more success there. But right now, Lombard and the willingness to take walks, I think, is really important. And, when I think about, like, advanced hitters and who I'm okay with getting rushed versus who I don't want rushed, I don't want the guys rushed that don't take walks. Like, if you've got, like, a big league level eye and an eye that you're confident in, especially in Double-A when the umpiring is not always the best, I will really trust kind of your long-term path. With LaGrange, I love it. I think he's fun to watch. The 2 walks, cool, awesome. I hate when that number's a little bit higher for him. But he's a guy that is really electric, probably has the most upside, in the farm right now for pitching, just based on, like, sheer size and velo. But he's been really good recently. So just thrilled for those 2 as they continue to kind of put out really good data. It's really encouraging as someone who loves minor league baseball.
Yeah, and when you talk about Somerset and those 2 guys specifically to me, and this is not to exclude anybody else, it's just in this specific context, you can argue. I mean, not that you can argue. Lombard is their best position player prospect.
Yes.
LaGrange, you can argue, is their best pitching prospect. It is so cool when both those guys are on at the same time, and they have been on at the same time, because that makes them such a fun watch. I'm not saying Somerset, that they're guaranteed to win the championship, whatever it may be. There are some really good teams in the Eastern League, and, it's minor league baseball is way more higher variance than any other form of baseball that you're going to probably watch. But if these guys, like, I love I love seeing them win. Because when these guys win, I think you learn how to win down there while also performing well. The Yankees do a great job of blending both development and trying to win games at the minor league level. I know that it's the classic argument. Do you want to try and win, or do you want to try and make guys better? Does winning make them better? Does losing make them worse? Like those kinds of conversations. Consistent winning for Somerset. Lombard Jr. has been part of winners. He's been part of teams who have gone on deep playoff runs, have consistently been in the playoff hunt throughout his minor league career. Same with LaGrange at this point in time. Another name that we want to talk about who performed really well last night was Brendan Beck. 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 8 strikeouts. He's another guy having like a very quiet breakout year. He was consistently hurt. I mean, I remember watching him in spring training in the backfields. When I went to Tampa, I got to see him in the backfields, and I actually was like, he's pitching. This is crazy. He's healthy. Like, I wasn't aware he was healthy. Got to see him throw. His breaking balls look good, and it was a precursor of what's been an awesome season for him. Chris, where do you think because Brendan Beck's a little, he's not the super high upside guy that LaGrange is, but he's probably a higher percentage chance of being a big leaguer than most guys in the farm system right now. Do you think Brendan Beck has a role in the 26 Yankees? Do you think he's moved to a different organization where he's going to have a better chance? Like, what are your thoughts on Brendan Beck and his projection right now?
To me, he's a prime get move candidate, but the reason I wanted to include him in today's, I guess, show is because this is what we call the Ryan Garcia special, right? I mean, like, for you always preach about limit the walks, because if you limit the walks, you can give up a hit every now and again, and it won't cause damage. Brendan Beck, this performance, 7 hits. 6 hits over the 5 2/3, but only 1 earned run because there was no walks attached to it. That means he's attacking the strike zone and kind of letting guys work behind him, which for you, it's like, okay, the stuff that you talk about in terms of data, in terms of like guys on base, in terms of like prevention. This is a prime example of that. You can get hit a little bit and still not give up multiple runs because you're not allowing free base runners. That's really important to me. And also results in the 8 Ks. More proof that he's pounding the strike zone. And also, it's a good bounce back start for him because the start before, he allowed 7 earned runs, which I believe was a season high, but I did not double check that, and I should have. For me, and now, Chase Hampton's injury history is like really concerning, and so like the more that Chase Hampton ends up getting hurt when I think he's going to be a part of next year, the more I think that opens up a potential lane for Beck. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think he's a guy who's a valuable piece if they do want to move and import someone. I mean, he's someone that I think is of note and is pitched well enough to kind of have interest.
Yeah, and like when you talk about trade conversations, you're usually trading with teams that are rebuilding. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. And teams that are rebuilding, like innings are hard to come by because innings are more expensive than ever before. Frankie Montas signed a 2-year, $34 million deal after being a below-average pitcher and having the injury history he had. Obviously, the year he's had this year is awful, and he's got Tommy John surgery, and I hope the best for him. But like, that is a guy who was clearly going into the market as a project pitcher, and he got $17 million towards a luxury tax a year. Alex Cobb got $15 million a year off of a playoff run. Like, guys are getting paid, and this is good for pitchers. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but like, the Pirates are going to be priced out of that market. The Athletics, I don't know how they're going to choose to spend, but given their last decade of history, I'm going to assume that they will be priced out of that market. Rays, I think the Rays with new ownership, they'll explore that market more. But you just think you're traditionally cheap teams, central teams, lower market teams, like they're just not going to spend the money on these guys. So if you trade a Brendan Beck to them, he's cheap innings. He's a high probability guy of being a big leaguer. Whether it's a great big leaguer, whether it's a serviceable big leaguer, we don't really know. But I will also note he's doing all of this a year removed from just a ton of injuries. So maybe the fastball velo creep up a little bit a year or two with a healthy year behind him. Who knows? So Beck is definitely someone to note because of either A, trade market, or B, maybe makes a start with the Yankees next year and is part of that minor league depth. Another guy who I think is going to be part of that minor league depth or starting rotation depth, who is higher ceiling guy, not as high as LaGrange, but I mean, you could argue it's just as high. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. He has been, in my opinion, he should win Pitcher of the Year for the Yankee organization. Remarkable year, third in all of minor league baseball in pitching strikeouts, 2.38 ERA, 140 innings pitched, traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees for Carlos Narvaez. Chris, it looked like that trade for the Yankees would just be, damn it, I can't believe we did that. And for a lot of people, that's how they felt. But I think both of us here, we held on hope. We were like, ERC, this is a guy who can do something for the Yankees. I've been so impressed with his performance this year. What do you see from him and why he could be a big leaguer?
Incredible pitchability. Like, you're talking about someone who all his pitches tunnel off each other. Like, so many combinations to love there. I mean, for a guy who doesn't have quote-unquote overpowering stuff and was the lightest player in minor league baseball at one point, for him to have 166 strikeouts in 140 innings, just mowing guys down. And then, I mean, shoot, dude, like him versus Jonah Tong, like he outpitched Jonah Tong, and that lineup was one of the best lineups in Double-A at the time. He just cut through him. Like, we're talking about someone who I'm so incredibly high on, and I think, I think we will see him in with the Yankees next year, Ryan. Like, that's how good I believe he is. Pitchability, I mean, I love the pitch mix. It's a true starter pitch mix, and the control is there, and a guy that's only going to increase velo the more strength and size he gains. Because, again, at one point was the lightest player in all of minor league baseball. Like, that guy's not supposed to lead the minor leagues in strikeouts, yet he's done it. I think he's a prospect that more people should be super, super excited about. And it's no longer, the Yankees got fleeced for Narvaez. First of all, they chose to keep the better catchers, Ben Rice and Austin Wells. Second of all, Rodriguez Cruz is going to end up being a pitcher, like, mark my words. Like, I think he is fantastic. And honestly, I think we see him before LaGrange.
I would agree in the sense, too, because, like, he, as you mentioned, pitch ability. 6 pitches, uses all of them. It's not 6 pitches and it's like, yeah, he has a cutter, I guess. No, he has one. He throws it. He has a splitter. You see a lot of guys with the changeup. Minor league pitchers and their changeup. It's always, yeah, they have one. They've thrown one before. But, like, you ask them to throw it in 2 strikes. Heck, you ask them to get to the big leagues. In their first big league start, are they throwing it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Down 2-0 in a count, they're not throwing it. Up 0-2 in a count or in a 2-2 count, they're not throwing it because they think it's going to be a ball every time or it's going to get rocked. ERC will throw his. I'll see him throw it to righties too, which I think is awesome. Sweeper, cutter, four-seamer, sinker, curveball. It's everything. All these secondaries get whiffs, and his fastballs play such a big role in his repertoire. The thing I think is going to improve for him, and this is a guess. This is not like a 100% obviously. I think that four-seam shape is where we're going to see just a little bit of improvement because look at Cam Schlittler's four-seam shape last year to this year. Much better. Look at Will Warren's four-seam shape when he was drafted to when he debuted with the Yankees. Much better. Even guys, lesser-known guys, I guess. Look at Clark Schmidt's fastball. Like, I'm not saying he's lesser-known. I meant, like, lesser-known fastballs. He developed a four-seamer. Yeah, like, his four-seam fastball didn't exist, or it was a very bad pitch. And then this past year, unfortunately, got TJS. That fastball is a playable pitch. It was a quality big league offering. I think the Yankees develop four-seam fastballs a lot better than people think. LaGrange, another guy where, like, his four-seamer, the shape wasn't as good as it was this year. His shape is, I think it's 18 inches of ride now. Last year was around 15 to 16. That's a huge uptick. So if ERC's fastball four-seamer can go from below average to just like around average, I think that's the thing that switches it on. I call him Hispanic Will Warren. That's basically what he is. Like, he's very wiry, weird release height, like all that stuff. But I think the thing that separates him is just that he has worse shapes but better velo. And you can argue for either or. You can argue that you'd rather have more velo and better shapes. But I think for damage prevention specifically, I'd rather have the better velocity. Because I think, you think about how hitters are going to react, that sinker just doesn't give up any loud contact. He doesn't give up home runs. He gives up a ton of ground balls. So ERC, I think we're going to see him next year. And he just got put on the top 100 by Baseball America. He will graduate a top 75 prospect or top 50 prospect. I'll say top 50. Let's get bold. He'll graduate a top 50 prospect in baseball.
Top 50. You said it before. Innings are expensive. Because he's got 6 pitches and all 6 I think are going to be usable at the next level. That's going to be a lot of extra innings he'll be able to sneak in there again and again and again. I'm excited for him, man. I'm glad that we both get to nerd out over him. I mean, you're right. I'm telling you, man, when innings are expensive, he's going to give them so much flexibility because he's going to be able to give you innings when he gets up here. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I agree. And again, innings are expensive. They're expensive, folks. You cannot sign a project pitcher to a $3 million deal. They're going to get signed to $10 million deals, $15 million deals. Again, I want to look at some of the most notable ones. Severino, when he signed with the Mets, 1 year, I think it was $12 million. For a guy who had an 8 ERA and one of the worst injury track records over that last 4 to 5 year window before signing that deal. That's the guy who got $12 million. So when you look at guys in the market, we're like, oh, he has an 8 ERA. He has a 7 ERA. He's going for 12. Zach Gallen is going to go for $15+ million a year. Like, that's
so Dylan Cease.
Yeah. And I'll go as far as to say this. I think Dylan Cease, he's not going to sign a 1 year deal. I think someone's going to give him 4 to 5 years.
Oh, really?
Because I think the underlying metrics, like, I think people, if you look at what the market cares about too, I think ERA is, people care about ERA, pay for ERA less than they've ever paid before. They pay for stuff, FIP, underlying data. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I hear you.
Pedigree.
I just assumed Cease would take a 1 year approved year to bring it down and then go. But if you, I trust you, big dog. If you think he'll sign, if you think a team is going to be willing to spend like he is the ace that we know that deep down that his metrics would suggest, I'll believe you.
I'll say this. I think he'll get offered a 4 year deal. I think he'll get offered one. Maybe he doesn't take it. That's a good point because maybe he'll go, I can cash in a little bit more. Let me just give myself another year. But I think he will get offered the kind of deal where you're like, wow, that's a risk to take on a guy. I think kind of the best example for me for this was Aaron Nola. The Phillies paid for innings and projectable data. He signed, like, he's in the second year of his 7-year deal. He signed that 7-year deal after putting up a 4.46 ERA in 2023.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And I'm not saying everyone has to agree that you have to think Dylan Cease is going to be fine. You have to think Zach Gallen's going to be fine. But it's not that 30 teams think it. It's that it just takes 5 or it just takes 1, yeah. And to really drive up your market, you might need 2 or 3.
3, yeah.
And the teams that want pitching, the smart teams that think they can fix you, they all have money. Like the smart teams, you think of like they can fix you guys. Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, you put them in the bank there. There are other teams, like the Rays, obviously, they don't have a lot of money, but they're a team in that. The Brewers, the Guardians, those are all teams in that mix as well. But some of the big boys in that, they got money. The Mets put $34 million on Frankie Montas, and they're still going to spend. The Dodgers, how much money did they put in their rotation this year? The Yankees, I mean, they put a lot of money in their rotation too. They have 3 guys making at least $26 million a year in the rotation. One of them is hurt, but they have 3 of them. And they're going to have 3 of them next year, and the year after that, and the year after that as well. So these teams spend, and I think someone's going to spend on pitching. If they're the Red Sox, look at the Mets. If you're the Mets, you don't think, man, if we can get Dylan Cease, why not? Let's start. Like, why not?
I would hate to see Dylan with the Mets, but you're right.
But you get my point. Like, if you're the Mets, you're like, yo, he's gonna make 30 starts. He's gonna give me 6-7 innings. He's gonna do like a job. You don't have enough of those guys in your staff. I just think when it comes to the free agent market, and this ties into ERC so beautifully because whether it's teams asking for him in a trade, whether it's the Yankees using him on the big league roster, he carries so much value because he can go out there and he can make starts and he can pitch for you. So that's where I'm at right now with ERC. That's where I'm at, I think, right now with the pitching staff and the farm as a whole. There's other guys in there as well, Ben Hess. We'll talk about these guys probably in a different episode, especially with the postseason coming around for Somerset next week. But, Chris, is there anything you want to wrap up with that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I'm just excited for this series to start, big dog.
Yeah, again, Friday night tonight, it will be on Apple TV. I think tomorrow is a 4:10 game. And I think, and keyword is think, I think that's on Fox. I think these are all like just nationally broadcasted games. And makes sense. This is like one of the biggest Yankee-Red Sox series they've played in the last decade. I think this comes up there with that 2021, in terms of regular season, of course. Goes up there with that 2021 September series. The Giancarlo Stanton series is what I like to call it. Hopefully we get the Giancarlo Stanton series part 2. Or maybe we get the Aaron Judge series.
Here we go, Ryan, before we get out of here. Last year, it was Friday night Apple TV series, and we got the Aaron Judge go-ahead grand slam.
Yep.
The moment.
I think, again, whether it's for the Yankees or the Red Sox, someone's going to have a moment where for the next 5, 7, 8 years, it's going to be replayed on that account, on their accounts, all the fan accounts.
Again and again.
Again and again.
Yeah.
That's the kind of series this is because it has so many stakes. No one's clinched a playoff spot yet. You know, the Rangers are 5 games back of the Yankees and Red Sox. I don't know if the Red Sox was a tiebreaker. We do, but 5 games, it takes a lot to blow that, but baseball's a weird sport. So big series for both teams. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate your guys' continued support here on Fireside Yankees. And we're going to keep doing these. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. I'm really excited for this series. I'm excited for the future of this podcast. If you guys enjoyed this video, again, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and check out Fireside Yankees right here on YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all under the same handle at Fireside Yankees. Our website for written content is empiresportsmedia.com, and our personal Twitter accounts are right above our heads. We can't see them right now, but you'll be able to. Have a great day, everyone. Let's go Yankees in Fenway. Big series, and peace out.
Perfect.